Quoted by Anthony Rizzo, Sydney, Australia. Australia and America are strong allies and are the best of pals. But they still are. But it seems every ally has at least one fight or two, sometimes a war. The Battle of Brisbane is odd, to say the least. A riot fueled by several reasons, but sparked by an ironic event. So, how and why did the Battle of Brisbane happen? To do this, let's meet context. Context. You help explain so much and the media hates you for it. Weeks after the bombing of Darwin, plug in here, go check it out, the USA sent mass amounts of troops and supplies to Australia. By 1943, around 250,000 American troops were stationed in Australia, ready for deployment for the campaigns in the Pacific, as well as other duties. At first, Australians welcomed the troops, still at a time Australia was facing with air raids and the fear of invasion. However, over the months, tensions were high between the US troops and Australian troops. I mean, this is the nation that created the Great Depression in Australia. It tends to leave an impression, as well as depression. One reason was pay. US troops were paid over 3 times more than the Australian troop. Going by the rank of private, US troops received a minimum of $50 a month, while Australia troops got a minimum of around £3 a month. Another reason is the US troops were treated better than Australian troops when it came to goods and services, due to the US had the customary of tipping and also receiving packages from family. There was black propaganda by Japan, a topic for another day, depicting while Australians were fighting, Americans were taking advantage of the hospitality of Australians and women. Now, there were relationships between American and Australians, but not to such an extent that would be very extreme, but whatever extent had an effect. On the 26th November, a fight broke out in Brisbane, ironically started by an Australian defending an American from an impatient American MP. Later, as the pubs closed, men saw this and the fight escalated into one big pub brawl outside with thousands of men involved. A few hours later, the brawl was scattered after gunshots were fired. There was wounded on both sides, but the MPs thought it was over. You know where this is going. On the 27th, a mass group of Australian troops picked a fight with any American troops they could find, especially ones with Australian women. This riot ended around midnight. It's hard to get a detail of the event due to heavy censorship. It wasn't broadcasted overseas, and any letters of the event were censored. 1 Australian died, 8 men suffered gunshot wounds, at least 20 American GIs were hospitalized, and several hundred were injured. There were more riots and small brawls in other parts in Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, and there was even one brawl in New Zealand. Fortunately, by 1943 and onward, relationships improved over time, both sides gaining victory in Guadalcanal and mobilizing the troops for Papua and New Guinea, as well as other conquered territories. Fighting alongside each other has a way of treating each other with respect. The Battle of Brisbane isn't big compared to everything else that was happening at the time, but it was the first fight in Australia's and the USA's long and strong relationship. This is Rizz of the Rizz Ranger channel. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. I upload a video about Australian history within a month. Click that like button, it brings a smile to my face, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.